In the last video we looked at the camera, and if you haven't seen that you need to go take a look because camera plus WASD movement makes this game feel like a totally different game. And don't worry, you can always press the caps lock key and toggle between the click to move interface and the beautiful camera interface. That's the last video, the link's in the description. In this video we're going to talk about mods that need the Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Manager. Don't worry, it's a lot easier than modding Skyrim or something. Just note that once you decide on a bunch of mods, they do attach things to your character, like clothing and whatnot, and those do get attached to your save file. So removing these mods is a little bit more difficult. It can be destructive, so do this at your own risk. I recommend installing them, keeping them up to date whenever there's an update to the game. Make sure that these mods are up to date. Don't install a lot of these, that's my advice. And make sure you get just a few that you need and have fun. Also in this video we're going to talk about just a couple of mods that are simply drag and drop into your folder. These are also non-destructive, which I love, because Larian Studios has everything packaged together. But these mods, you just drop them into a certain folder and then they just override the stuff that's already there. They don't overwrite it, so that's a brilliant thing. So let's get started and install some ridiculous clothing mods. Now I like my game to look like a Brom painting because he's my favorite D&D artist. So I like to run around looking like I'm in an 80s, one of those, I guess, sandals and swords, almost like they're wearing bondage gear running around. I love that aesthetic, so that's what I'm going to do to my game. You don't have to install these mods. But watching me install these ridiculous clothing mods will give you an idea on how to install these types of mods, which are pack files, P-A-K, just a pack of information, I guess. And that's what we use the Mod Manager for. Alright, now we're going to get serious and mess with our Baldur's Gate game in ways that can break your save file. So exercise caution. I'm being a little bit over the top right here, and that's mainly because once you install these things, if you uninstall them, you have to do it correctly or you can mess with your save files. So I've picked a few that I know that I want forever. I want them for my entirety of my Baldur's Gate playthrough. Now these mods, we use the Baldur's Gate Mod Manager, and in order to get that we need to head over to GitHub. Now don't worry, this is a lot easier than modding Skyrim or something. It's really, really easy, but you need to be using this for these certain types of mods. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the latest version. I'll put the GitHub link in the description. All these links are going to be in the description, by the way. You can literally create a folder anywhere on your hard drive and just drag and drop it in there. You don't have to install anything, just create a folder. I created, the BG3 Mod Manager folder, and then I drag and drop everything in there. Once you've done that, you open it up. If there are any updates, the first time it opens up, it'll check for updates and say, hey, there's an update. Just click on download and go through that process. Now this is what it looks like when you first get into your Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Manager. If you've installed it on Steam and I believe on GOG, it should find your different folders for Baldur's Gate. But I want to make sure, so open Preferences and just make sure that it found your Baldur's Gate 3 executable path and your data file path, your data path, whatever. If it did not find that, you're going to need to navigate to it and put that information right here. But that's all you really have to do. Script Extender goes beyond the scope of this video. We're not doing any script mods, so that's just what it is. All right, now let's get some mods for the Mod Manager. The first thing you're going to need is the Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Fixer. And this mod makes sure that all of the mods that were created before the official version of the game came out, it's going to make sure that all of those work with the new version of the game. There was recently some drama. There was an older mod fixer that was basically the exact same code that worked a little bit better in my opinion because it removed the annoying pop-up messages. It was removed today. And now we're stuck with this one. I say stuck with because it doesn't remove the annoying pop-up. So if you're just watching and you didn't get this already, well, sorry. You have to, it's terrible, but whatever. Hopefully they'll update this one. It hasn't been updated in a long time, but hopefully we'll update this. We'll get an update, so who knows. Anyway, if you're installing a mod that requires it, it'll usually tell you. Like I've got this 0 weight gold thing. I click on manual download and it says, hey, make sure you have the full release mod fixer. And that's the one that's gone. I'm so sad. So we have to use this one. It works, but it's a little weird. So as opposed to how we installed all the other ones, this one is packaged in a strange way. I'll show you. Let's download it. When I open up this one, you can see there's a folder inside there. The pack file's not in the root, so it's not going to install correctly. If I just go into Mod Manager and try to install it, it won't work. So what we have to do for that one is a bit silly. We got to click on the shortcut up here. See a little icon? Tiny. Sorry, it's so small. And it will open up our Baldur's Gate 3 mod location. Now from here, I'm just going to open up that zip file again and drag and drop it in there. There we go. I'm not going to do that because I've got my old full release mod fixer with the message remover, which I love. It's the exact same code with a little extension to remove the annoying pop-up that says, hey, you're trying to play Baldur's Gate, it's not going to work. You know, like when you first start, it does that. So yeah, hopefully they'll update, but you know, you may have to go without for a while if you're just modding now. Anyway. I'll download a few of the ones that I use. I use Gold Weight 0 because this game's inventory system is not realistic anyway, so I don't care about making my life a little bit easier by not having to manage 50 pounds of gold or whatever. Well, that's a lot, but still. And then I really like the clothing mods that are created by Antimax. This clothing stuff is really cool. Like I said, it lets me play the game like it's a Brom painting. I get to wear all my strappy things and have crazy people running around like this. It's great for the guys and the girls. I wish more of these outfits supported the large body types, but you know, alas, only some work with Karlach. Now, if you scroll down here to the bottom, you'll notice that this is the safe for work version. I think the sophisticated among us will be using the not safe for work version, and there's a few different reasons, not just because I don't like my characters to run around naked. That feels stupid. But you can do whatever you want. But this is, like I said, the safe for work version. You can get, I'll put a link in the description for the not safe for work version. And the reason I like that version is because this has a bunch of underwear. Okay, now hear me out. We're getting into some nerd stuff here. Now, the thing about the underwear in this is that it goes into your main clothing slot, which is stupid. But you can get this mod, and it makes all the underwear go to the underwear slot. So therefore, we can use the not safe for work mods that have like exposed upper chest and stuff like that. Upper chest? Exposed chest and stuff. And then put our own favorite different underwear mods on there and have like a pretty cool ensemble. If this is too nerdy for you, you don't need these mods, whatever. But I love like changing the aesthetics of my characters. And then the other thing that I like to use is something called basket equipment to camp clothing. What that does is all these outfits are converted into camp clothing. That way you can still wear your armor, but this is going to be the visual representation of your character on the screen. So you could just, you know, you can toggle on and off between your armor and your camp look or whatever. And this just makes sure that you can do it that way. Now, unfortunately, you won't be able to wear a hat this way, which is kind of annoying because the camp equipment doesn't have a hat slot. So that's a minor annoyance, but it is what it is. So anyway, let's grab these files. You can get whatever version you like. Just don't want to bring up this one too much because don't want to show nudity on stream. Or on camera. All right, there we go. Getting that one. I'm going to go ahead and grab all the rest of these. All right, now I want to install these mods. So we do it from inside the Baldur's Gate 3 Mod Manager interface. This is tiny. Sorry, everything's so small. I'll talk through this. Click on File and then click on Import Mod. So I navigated to my folder where my mods are. I'm just going to sort this by date modified so they come up on top. And then we can just install these. Doesn't matter which order you install them right now. And you can install multiple at a time. So I'm going to click on all these and install them. There we go. Don't need the mod manager in there. Just make sure you're clicking all the good stuff. All right, just give it a minute. This will take a while, especially for the bigger mods. For small mods, it won't take a while. All right, so once you get everything imported, you'll see everything's over here on the right. Just need to grab all that stuff and move it to the left. Now this puts things in order. You can grab all of them, I think. There we go. Now we can arrange these into an order. If you've ever modded Skyrim, you know how this works. This is your mod load order. You need to make sure the underwear goes underneath everything else, just like that. But yeah, the clothing equipment and all that on top, then the camp clothing, then that, and then whatever else you want on the bottom. You can have as many mods as you like. I would not go too crazy. And then I've got this mod fixer on the bottom. One last thing we have to do before we can play the game, or else it won't work. I like to save my load order by clicking on the little save icon here, and then we have to export this. Click on the Export to Game button. Now that exports a list of your mods in which order so that it knows how to load them up. Now right over here, this is how we launch our game now. Just click right here, this tiny little icon, and that'll launch the game. Let's do it. Now when you start the game, you may have some messages that pop up and say like, something's not working, you're using mods. Just click OK to continue. But like I said, I installed my old version of that full release mod fixer because it removes that annoying message. Let's get into the game, see how it works. All right, we're in the game now. Move around with, oh my god, WASD. There we go. Today, while we get into this, this is brought to you by our line of mice and keyboards and gaming fun things. I'll show you. This is what I'm using to play. I love this mouse. It feels a lot like the Microsoft IntelliMouse. We also have 30% off right now, by the way. Back to school is the coupon code for this because it's that time of year. And then this controller, the idea with this was to make something that felt a lot like the modern controllers. It works with X input, so when you plug it in, you can toggle between X input and direct input by holding this down for 5 seconds. And it feels a lot like a lot of the modern controllers. Mostly looks kind of like a PlayStation controller, but I like the analog sticks better than the Xbox or the PlayStation, and it's about half the price. Just doesn't have a gyro on the inside. That's where we save the little money there. So if you need a gyro, then, you know, PS4 or whatever. But I play most of my games with this whenever I'm, you know, it's not a mouse and keyboard game. Obviously, I play this with the mouse and keyboard. And here's our keyboard. There you go. It's water resistant. Very quiet. Listen. Because it's membrane, but it's a nice poppy membrane. I was very particular about this membrane keyboard. So check all that out in the description. Back to school is the coupon code.